Great to be here, and can't think of any better way to lead off our media availability than Brad Keselowski, fresh off of his win at Daytona.
Am I the first?
You're the first in this room today. Yes,
and
sir.
I'm 1 minute early. That's not like
good.
me.
That's good. Brad Keselowski driving the number 2 Miller Lite Ford for Team Penske, certainly coming off a big race weekend at Daytona with a win. Congratulations on that, Brad. Brad, we're kind of at the midpoint of the season. The racing's been really good. People are coming out of Daytona with a lot of excitement, anticipation. As we look forward now to the second half of the season, starting Saturday night here with the Quaker State 400, what's your assessment of how things have gone from a racing standpoint, and maybe just talk a little bit about the excitement that we sense out there amongst the fan base?
Yeah, well, we're in the summer stretch here, obviously, and a lot always seems to happen here. It's one of my favorite stretches to get into. This track is really one that kind of highlights it for me. It's been very good to me here at Kentucky Speedway, and got Loudon coming up, which has been good to me. And then a few weeks here to go back to my home track. I've got Bristol coming up, Watkins Glen. So this is, I think one of my best stretches and our best stretches as a team here with the two teams. So looking forward to that, and it has been a very interesting and fun season so far. Of course, it's easy for me to say when I got 3 wins, but I want to keep going on that. I think we've got a great opportunity over the next few weeks to add another win or two and hopefully start the chase off as the number 1 seed. So really just thrilled with that, and thinking, about the sport in general, a lot of strong momentum with things that are going on behind the scenes that I'm thrilled about, with the cars and rules and all the collaborations. So it's really a fun time for me personally and professionally with everything that's going on. So just happy to be here and want to keep going.
Thank you, Brad. We'll take questions. Let's start on the front row here with Claire B. Lang, and then we'll go to Matt, and then we'll go to Mark.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You are so good at this track. Were you the last one that wanted to see a lot of changes, given that you're so good? And how does doing double duty help you this weekend?
I definitely didn't want to see him change the track, but I appreciate the position that Marcus Smith and everyone at SMI was in with the issue. There were some weepers, and those are always hard to fix without just going through and redoing the whole track. And I really liked it as a bumpy racetrack. I thought that was something that was unique, and I adapted well to. But of course, no one wants to sit and wait on the track to dry when it has weepers. So I understood that part. One of the interesting things that I really appreciate about the repave is that when they repaved it, they changed 1 and 2 dramatically. And 1 and 2, it kind of feels more like almost Kansas. It's really fast. In the XFINITY cars, we can run wide open through that corner. We weren't even close to that before, I can tell you, Claire. And, I think that end's really fast. This end over here is really slow, treacherous, hard to get a hold of. And so there's a big discrepancy between the 2 ends. And I think anytime you have a track like that, it lends itself to compromises with race car drivers, techniques, and car setups, and all those things that tend to open up the box to allow for better racing. Because whenever there's those discrepancies, I think that's when you see mistakes, and that's when you see weak strengths and weaknesses that vary car to car, driver to driver, and that's a really good thing, I think, for our sport. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out this weekend. Obviously, there's only so much I know, having not run a race on the new surface, and that's why I'm running the Xfinity races, to try to get a little bit ahead of my competition before Saturday night. Hopefully that pays off, and we can get another win at the Cup level and Xfinity level.
We'll go with Matt, and then we'll go to Mark, and then we'll go to Reed.
Matt Weaver, Racer.com. With the Truck Series in town tonight, I'm curious, what is your perspective on how the team has performed so far? No wins for either driver, 4th and 9th in the standings. And also, how do you feel like the changes, the caution clock, the chase, have positively or negatively changed the series?
Well, I think we have 2 drivers over there that are competing full time. It would be very easy for me or a handful of other Cup or Xfinity drivers to jump in and out of those trucks and probably raise the numbers, so to speak, But that's really not the goal. The goal is to get Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Reddick a quality opportunity that can position themselves for a future in the sport as a professional race car driver. And to do that, they need to run full seasons and have all those things available to them. And I think as a group, we're still trying to get to where we can run with the Toyotas. They're really, really fast over there, and they've got good teams and incredible resources. So we're not quite at the A level, but we're fluttering right there at that B+ level, and I think we can break through at any moment. I think Daniel Hemrick's been really close to winning a race. Tyler Reddick's been close to winning a race. We need just a little bit more speed and a little bit more execution, and I think either one of those things can happen overnight if we keep plugging away. So I feel as good as you can feel without having a win, that we will get some wins and that we will get into the Truck Series chase with time. But we're not quite there yet, obviously, but maybe this is the weekend. What was your second question, Matt?
The change in the caution block, the changes toward the chase.
Yeah, I mean, it's the chase, of course, lines up more directly with the Cup Series. I guess from a fan standpoint, that probably makes it a little bit more easy to follow. I don't want to speak for everyone else. I feel like I had a pretty good hold of it before, understanding-wise. And the caution clock, I think, it's maybe a little bit too early to have a judge on it. I would like to see it go through a whole season. But it's certainly changed the races dramatically, in my opinion. I think the pit stops have gone up, and the tires and the strategy and all those things. It affects the race even when it doesn't come out, because you have to plan for it. If a yellow comes out and you're just outside of your fuel window when the caution clock expires, you're forced to make some tough decisions. So it affects the race even when it doesn't come out, and I think that's a key part to understanding that. And I'm not entirely sure I've formed a full opinion on it.
Go to Mark Garrow, Reed Spencer, Nate Ryan.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Brad, when they tested here, some of the drivers talked about this track still having some character, still having some bumps. Does this track still have some unique characteristics that will play into it even with the repave?
Well, it definitely has a bump off of turn 2. I haven't drove a Cup car on it to see if it affects the Cup car, but it doesn't affect the Xfinity car. I think right now the character can be defined by the differences in banking and width between the two corners, and again, how that makes you come to a compromise with car setups and driving styles.
What kind of compromise are you talking about in a driving style?
Yeah, the compromises, for the race team and the car is, whenever you have one corner that has more banking, more speed, you look at the platform of the car and how it sits on the racetrack. There's a certain way that you would max out that corner that doesn't work on this end. In fact, it's probably the complete opposite. So I would say those compromises from the car setup end, and then as a driver, I think you can be a lot more aggressive on one end than you can the other. And so one end is more of an aggressive corner from a driver's perspective, and the other more of finesse. So switching gears in the car is not always easy to do every straightaway, every lap, between being aggressive and having a lot of finesse, and I think that makes it unique.
Go to Reed Spencer, and then go to Nate Ryan.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Not only do we have a repave this week, but you've got the lower downforce package. Joey won both the All-Star race in Michigan. You finished 2nd and 4th, I think. Do you guys have an edge?
Do we have an edge? I don't know. I feel like we've been running well, whether it's low downforce or not. We don't have as many wins with the other regular low downforce. We need a better name than low downforce and lower downforce. But I feel like the results have been more positive for us, but I don't feel a real difference in the cars, to answer your question, Reed. So I don't know.
Let's go to Nate Ryan, and then Tucker, and Chris.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Brad, you were saying that you were very encouraged by the direction with the rules and the collaboration. I think if you go back a year ago, things are probably headed in that direction, but maybe not anywhere near where they are today. And this race was maybe a line of demarcation where NASCAR gave you guys lower downforce because you asked about it. How much of things changed from that collaborative process because of this race a year ago, and how would you compare the cooperation, collaboration to then?
Well, I would say this race a year ago was a huge landmark for our sport that maybe goes a little bit unnoticed. In terms of, we had collaborative effort for a rules package, and we saw a significant increase, in my opinion, of the on-track product that we saw. And I think that showcased a lot of hope for our abilities to work together as a sport. that has kind of created a wave of momentum that we're carrying today.
Let's go to Tucker and then to Chris Knight.
Tucker White, SpeedwayMedia.com. Now, Brad, given that the track has just been recently repaved, what effect, if any, do you think the low downforce package will have on the race Saturday?
What effect? I don't know if it'll have a different effect here than it has everywhere else, concerning the repave. In general, the cars at Michigan were really, really loose behind someone. I would expect that to be the same, and I would expect turn 3 and 4 to really, really be a challenge, as it's such a finesse corner already, and then you add the lower downforce package to it, and it's really going to be a hold on to your butt corner. But I'm not sure I can fully answer that until the race is over. Hindsight is a lot better vision.
Chris Knight.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Brad, yesterday we saw a driver penalized for his actions on social media. You being a social media savvy person, do you feel like that the drivers maybe now have a better indication or now what's more acceptable and tolerable compared to from what NASCAR or maybe from what we can see in the future?
No. I don't know. I was a little bit surprised by, both the comments and the reaction, to be quite honest. I thought there was an understanding, or at least there's an understanding from my perspective that it's probably not a good idea to say what was said. But on the other side, it's my feelings that, we all got to have a little bit of thicker skin than that as well. So probably, my overall thoughts on it is 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Other questions for Brad? We got time for a couple more. Jim Utter.
Jim Utter, Motorsport.com. Kind of following up on Reed's question earlier, you have 3 wins, but where would you put your team as in position right now for the chase? Do you think there are things that you would still like to see you get better at?
There's always things, Jim, I think that we always want to get better at. But this summer stretch to me is really going to define our team's capabilities, because we know it's some of our best racetracks. And so I feel like if we can come through this stretch and knock out another win or 2, that we'll be kind of sitting in high cotton for the chase, and hopefully we'll be able to carry that.
Let's go back in the back to Kevin, and then we'll finish with Lee.
Kevin Goheen, Cincinnati Enquirer. You just talked about the chase. This is the 3rd year of this particular format and setup. How do you think that it has grown or evolved in these 3 years?
I think over time fans start to maybe appreciate and understand it a little bit better, and so do teams and drivers, all the industry as well. And I think over time, as we start to understand it, we lose some of those variables that come into play, and we start to know what risks are smart risks to take and what risks aren't. We saw I think in the first year a driver make it with not without winning a race the whole season, almost to win the championship. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of the first chase in, I think it was 04, when you saw teams that would run really well and then they would blow up or have a DNF, and it seemed almost like no one wanted to win it. And then the chase in its older format from the mid to late 2000s developed into a pure points race where one bad race and you knew you were kind of out of it. So it was interesting to see that change, and I think you're going to see that the same change over time if you kind of back up the lens a little bit to see the whole vision of the new chase, that it's going to turn into the same thing where it becomes a don't wreck really conservative layup format, and that's kind of where I've seen it kind of migrate over time.
Final question, Lee.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Since this is kind of the last preview we'll have of the 2017 package for this year, would you advocate perhaps seeing it maybe one more time prior to the chase if there are certain directions you feel a need to go in? You maybe as one of the drivers, multiple drivers and multiple teams, depending upon what you guys see this weekend.
Yeah, I think, obviously subject to change after this weekend's over, but my initial thoughts are I'd like to see it back again at Michigan with just a few subtle changes that can be ascertained from what we've learned over this weekend and the previous Michigan weekend. And, just maybe a small tweak from what we've learned and go again at Michigan in the second race would be kind of my initial thoughts. So, yeah, I would say yes, Lee. No problem.
Brad, thank you for coming in here, and good luck this weekend here at Kentucky Speedway.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, joining us now is Austin Dillon, and he's no stranger to winning here at Kentucky Speedway. He drives the number 3 Dow Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. Austin, good to see you.
Thank you.
And certainly Austin has been on the cusp of getting to victory lane in the Sprint Cup Series. But Austin, we're kind of at the midpoint of the season. The racing's been really good. Seems like there's a lot of excitement coming out of Daytona. Just talk about that excitement. Talk about how fun it's been to be, to race so far this year, and what's your outlook on here for this weekend?
For us, it's an opportunity, I think, coming to a track that's freshly paved. Racing has been pretty solid this year, and we look at this as an opportunity for us coming to a place that there's not anybody has a real true advantage. There's some guys that tested here, but as far as the banking and the layout of the track, I've been pretty fast here. So I'm looking forward to this weekend's race and the opportunities it brings. It was nice getting in the Xfinity car and kind of learning a little bit before we get in the Cup car, and I think it'll be interesting for sure come Saturday night.
Questions now for Austin. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start on the front row here with Matt, and then we'll go to Claire B. Lang, and then to Mark and Mark.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week Magazine. I went down to the National Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame yesterday, Bill Holder, and he had told me a story, and I wasn't sure if it was you or your brother, but apparently you guys were racing down at Florence, and one of you had promised to bring Bill a door for the Hall of Fame, and one of y'all had forgotten it, and your grandpa said, take the door off the car. Is that how it went down, and what are your memories of that place and what Bill's done with the facility?
Yeah, I've raced a lot there, and actually the first super late model, big time show was there. I remember showing up, and I had done a school beforehand with Dale and Shane McDowell, and they were like, well, you're doing pretty good at the school. Let's take you to this big race. I mean, you can get a little experience here and see what it's like. It's a slick, slow track. It's really finesse. It's not like a fast track. And I was like, okay. So we go to line up, and it rained the day before, like a full solid day of rain. And I remember pulling up to the gate and watching Josh Richards go through there and run wide open. And it was like, whoa, what am I doing here? We ended up running that race. I looked like a fish out of water. Come back the next race, and I ran second or third. So Florence has been good to me, and I enjoy the track. You can learn a lot there because you can run low and high, and it's just it's a fun facility to race on for sure.
With the Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame, yeah. It's a cool little area there, and I think they did get a door from us at some point, and the best of the best are in there, and it's good that the dirt late model racing has a Hall of Fame.
We'll go to Claire B. Lang, Mark Garrow, and then Mark Story.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I was just flipping through Twitter, and I got such a kick out of you cold calling the fans. And I wonder if you could give us the backstory on that. When you're talking to a fan who doesn't know it's you, and you're asking if your girlfriend is hot and if they like your haircut and if you're good looking, how did that come down, and how much fun was that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. NBC, the guys at NBC are doing a really good job, and they had a list of names on there of fans of Austin Dillon, and I just started calling them, and I couldn't disguise my voice. I'm so country, and I have a pretty funny voice every now and then. I just didn't use it, and it was fun though. I got to ask questions that were off the wall and tried to make a joke out of it, and it worked out. And I'm glad everybody got to see that video. My girlfriend kicked me pretty hard for it, but it was fun.
What was the best experience out
Just calling true fans of our sport, and there's a lot of haters out there, and then to hear a real fan and talk to them on the phone and get the love from them, it was pretty special. So just hearing fans that support you and are proud of what you're doing out there, and just excited to hear from you, and that's what's fun about it, and that's what makes our sport great.
Let's go to Mark Garrow, then to Mark Story.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Austin, obviously a lot of success here on the old track. I mean, you're definitely dialed into it. How big a change is this track now with the repave? And basically the same question I asked Brad. Is it still unique? Does it still have some things that make it just Kentucky Speedway?
Yeah, it's still very unique. The way the banking enters turn 3, it's a flat corner, and then 1 and 2 is very high banked. You run wide open getting through 1 and 2. And 3 and 4, you kind of have to back up your corner and figure out how to carry momentum and speed because of banking. So I think it's still Kentucky. It's just there's not as many bumps and a lot of grip right now. So I do think that the way it's paved, that eventually that the higher line in 3 and 4 will come into play. I don't know if it'll happen this year. Hopefully we can get some rubber laid down up there. I'd like to go take some cones and move them up about a lane and have practice for about 2 hours above the groove just to rubber it in, because we could use that rubber come Saturday night. So hopefully the trucks do move around a little bit, but it's still Kentucky. I'm complaining about entry to turn 3. 1 and 2, I'm carrying a lot of speed and just complaining a little bit about 3, but seemed to have speed. We were fastest in XFINITY practice. So,
other question: where you're sitting right now, if the deal ended today, which it's not, you're in position to make the chase on points. How do you feel about your chances holding on to that spot through Richmond?
We feel pretty positive about our chances. We had a good meeting last week before Daytona with everybody, in our kind of organization, and Slugger pulled our team together, met with the core group of guys, and just kind of explained what we can accomplish here. We can make the chase, and we're sitting in a really good spot, and we have to take every race more serious than we ever have. Just take it one at a time, but really focus and do everything we can to get an advantage on everybody that's out there, whether it's me just working extra on trying to learn things and see things watching the races, and it's them trying to just get a little bit more out of the car. So we've got tracks that we've circled to win at. We want to really win a race to lock ourselves in solid, and then we've got tracks that we know we've got to improve on, places that we haven't run great in the past. We need to jump up 5-10 spots because the other guys are going to be good going to those places. So this is a place we got circled because everybody's on a fresh pavement, and hopefully we can make it happen.
Let's go to Mark Story, then to Tucker, and then to Lee.
Austin, I'm Mark Story from the Lexington Herald-Leader. You sort of alluded to what I was going to ask you, but I think since the Cup Series came here, Kyle Busch and Keselowski have led like 63% of the Cup laps. Does this repave bring them back, and is everybody on equal footing, or are they still the guys to beat?
Well, it's tough. Those guys have been in fast Cup cars lately. I mean, those cars are running really well, and you gotta show that speed earlier. When you come to these paved tracks where wide open is pretty much the key, there's still some speed and the aerodynamics of the car. So I think it will bring some guys closer because you'll see other guys that run good at like Kansas and places like that where there's a lot of throttle time will gain some position. So I think hopefully, but those are two really good race car drivers you named there and really good organizations. So to knock them two off, it's going to be tough, but it can be done.
Let's go to Tucker and then to Lee.
Tucker White, SpeedwayMedia.com. Now, following up on what Mark Garrow had asked you, given the repave here, what effect, if any, do you think the low downforce package will have on the race Saturday?
I think you'll see similar racing that you saw at Michigan. I think getting underneath a car is going to be the hardest part. Like I think you'll be able to run closer to guys, but exit of the corner will be tough. Carrying speed off of turn 4 is going to be tough, like Brad's saying. Entering 3 and 4 will be a challenge, and then exiting beside somebody. But with all the grip, I think it'll be very similar to any packages out there because you have a lot of grip right now. So hopefully it does present some passing lanes as we move throughout the weekend and create a strong race for us.
Let's go to Lee, and then we'll finish up with Chris Knight.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Are you still working with the driver coach?
Oh yeah, I mean he's an engineer, but everybody calls him my driver coach. Yeah, he's done a great job this year, just working with me, and it's hard to be approached by certain people about driving. For example, my dad does a very bad job of approaching me, telling me how to drive. His approach is very stern and to the point, and sometimes you just got to talk around certain things. So more than anything, Chavi does a good job of approaching me the right way and speaking to me the right way, and we just try to work and get better on everything we can, looking and comparing to other drivers if they're faster, and then if I'm the fastest in the group of data that we have, we'll try and improve on that. He's never satisfied, which is really good to make me better. Even if we're on top of the board, when we sat on the pole at California, he felt like we missed a little bit. So it's nice to have someone that really pushes you and takes you to the next level, and hopefully I can keep him there.
That was the second part of my question. You mentioned your dad, and lately, and this wasn't something we heard as much at the beginning of the season as we do now, was your dad and your grandfather seem to be on your radio a little more than usual. And
You've been talking to Slugger.
No, seriously. It's just from, dialing into your team radio, and I'm wondering, are they starting to feel the pressure for you internally? And is it a pain in the ass having your dad and your grandfather on you like that when, that's not kind of the norm? At some point, the stage parents kind of, walk off the walk away.
No doubt. I did a good interview last week or so with NBC, and I'm a little bit more than just a race car driver, I feel like. Drive for my family, so there's a lot of ties there that people that drive in this garage don't understand. As far as it's not as just easy just getting in the car and driving and focusing on that and not worrying about those pit crew guys that are on your team or all the crew guys. My job goes a little bit beyond that, and we've taken a lot of those things out, and but it's still hard because when we go home, we're really focused on that. It's not just driving; it's our whole organization as a family, and there's nobody else in my back pocket better than my grandfather and my dad when it comes to family, having them there and balancing the two. My grandpa does a great job. My dad, though, when it's a tough situation, I go to him because I know he's going to give me honest things. It's just sometimes the approach isn't always right, and that happens with most father-son combos. But as we grow and as success comes, as it's came in the past, they go away. They just, it goes like this in racing, and it's hard to have that. But the good thing is I have a family that cares, and I'm thankful for that. So, but my brother and I both want to see RCR and Welcome North Carolina be the number one race team. So we have a lot invested in that, and we push hard, and you hear a lot of effort out of our radio. I call it effort. Sometimes it sounds like frustration, but we want the best, and I think that comes from everything we deal with during the week. And we don't just show up to the track and drive most of the time. I'm not saying other guys do. A lot of guys put in a lot of effort and they do it, but they're worried about one thing. So we have to focus that, and that's what I need to do a better job of, is just driving most of the time.
Final question, Chris.
Chris Knight, catchfans.com. Austin, Brad said a few minutes ago he felt like he had maybe a little bit of advantage running the Xfinity race this weekend. Do you feel like that you have that same advantage running the Xfinity race, especially since both races are at night? And then I have a follow-up.
Yeah, so I definitely do. When you get in a car and can get used to running fast right off the bat, because that turn one is really fast right now. With all that grip, you're carrying a ton of speed and running through the center corner with a lot of momentum. So that'll help me once I've run the Xfinity car to know what I can do in my Cup car. It might take the guys that haven't seen it or haven't tested 30 extra minutes or 45 minutes to get comfortable with that corner, where I'll be able to go to work and maybe have that 25, 30-minute advantage on them, and hopefully be able to carry that throughout the weekend. So definitely hope it's an advantage. I think it is. And not only that, it's just good for me to be prepared when I get in that Cup car to be ready to go.
Okay, and to follow up on Claire's question, I watched a video this morning of you calling the fan. He said he'd never met you before. Is there any aspirations or any intent to try to maybe meet him at an upcoming race this season?
Yeah, they cut some of it out because I had talked about, he was from North Dakota or South Dakota, and I had talked about races that he had been to, but he was talking about coming to New Hampshire, and I was going to try and hook up with him there, and I think we got contact information, so we're going to try and meet and say hello. He was a big dirt race fan too also, so he had been to Eldora, I think. But yeah, that was a really cool deal, and you know, that just shows what kind of sport that we have, and we got to cherish that.
Austin, thank you so much for coming in, and good luck this weekend at Kentucky.
Thanks, guys.
Bien.
Okay, up next is Daniel Suarez, and he's doing double duty this weekend, but he's a championship contender in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He drives the number 19 ARRIS Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. And Daniel, welcome. You've had opportunity to be out on the track in two different situations, yesterday in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series and today in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We're kind of at that midpoint of the season, and you've had a heck of a season, and the racing has been very exciting, and there seems to be a lot of excitement as we look towards the second half of the season. Talk about that and how you look at that from a driver's standpoint.
Well, first of all, thank you for everyone to being here. So far it's been good. It's been a positive first half of the season. We have learned a lot of things. My team chemistry is getting better and better. We have to remember that we have a different team than last year. We changed important pieces of our team for this 2016, and that chemistry and communication are really super important. So I really feel comfortable for the way that everything has been working out so far on this first half of the season, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds for us, because definitely the whole organization is really strong, but our team has been getting better and better. So really confident about our second half of the 2016 as well.
Take questions for Daniel. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start here with Mark, and then we'll go to Claire B.
Mark Carroll, Performance Racing Network. Daniel, you made such a gigantic leap from where you were at the beginning of last season to the end of last year. Now it seems like you're taking another big step up. You get the first win. With the new chase format, do you think the team can put it together? You can gain enough experience to perhaps win the championship this season?
Yeah, I think my team has experience to do that. I think one of the most important things for me and for my team was to start building that chemistry and that communication, and to try to be better, to try to be stronger. And I feel like like I say, the first half of the season so far has been good. You know, working on all these things to just to be better. I feel like we start the season strong, and then we have some ups and downs, and right now we are going up as well. So again, so everything has been good. I feel like our team is going to be a contender for the second half of the season. Right now, honestly, everything that we hit the racetrack, we have fast race cars and we have shots to run in the front and to win races. So that's always fun, and I think as close as we get to the last race of the season, I think we're going to be stronger for that chemistry and communication that I mentioned before.
Go to Claire B. Lang and then to Chris.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Yesterday you had like truck practice for 3 hours. Today you've got 4 Xfinity practices. How does the extra practice today figure into what will help you in the race tonight with the 2 different vehicles, or how much is it able to confuse you?
Well, we have a new Kentucky right here, and with all the practice that we have yesterday in the Toyota Tundra 51, I feel like I've been here forever. That was a long practice, and I'm pretty comfortable. I feel like I knew already where I needed to be for the Xfinity car. So definitely the truck, you know, all these long practices of yesterday helped me a lot just to know where I need to be, which line is the line that I have to take. The whole racetrack is very fast, and you need to be in the right line to try to get advantage of that grip. Seems like the bottom right now so far is one line racetrack. The bottom is super fast. It's unbelievable the speed that you are carrying in both corners. In the 1 and 2, pretty much you are wide open. You are hoping that you can make the exit, and in corner 3 and 4 you have to breathe the throttle a little bit. But it's very fast. We are carrying a lot of speed, a lot of throttle time in comparison with all Kentucky. But overall, I really think that yesterday practice helped me a lot so far for the first practice in the Xfinity Series, and we still have some work to do, but we have another 3 practices to make it work.
Let's go to Chris Knight.
TonightKidsFans.com. Daniel, yesterday it looked like you guys found a lot of speed in your truck compared to the first practice, second practice. A, can you talk about your Truck Series season thus far? And B, how beneficial do you feel like the truck program still is and will be as you get into the Xfinity Series chase?
Well, in the trucks, we have had a lot of ups and downs. It's a brand new team from last year to this year, and I think we have had a lot of speed sometimes, but sometimes we lost races very easy as well. I just felt like a lot of ups and downs, very, very aggressive ups and downs. And right now, we put all our stuff together. We had several meetings to try to put races together, to try to be more just consistent, because, like I said, sometimes we are great and sometimes we are horrible. So we had several conversations about this and before this race, and it seemed like all these guys they put together really fast here at Tundra for this weekend, and seemed like they really want to win races. It's the only team of KBN that hasn't won a race yet, and I'm sure that we're going to have a big shot tonight. So hopefully we can get it done and gain some confidence for the whole team and move forward. Yeah, I think the trucks races definitely are very helpful for me. Some racetracks more than others, but overall is very helpful. I think at least for this weekend was very helpful to have a lot of practice yesterday in the truck.
Other questions for Daniel? Let's go here to Zach.
Yeah, Zach Albert, NASCAR.com. Daniel, it seemed like the main characteristic of this track used to be the bumps, and now it seems like it's the different banking, the steeper banking in 1 and 2, and then the less banking in 3 and 4. Has it taken some getting used to, and do you like that kind of a challenge in terms of having to kind of balance or compromise things for the 2 different sets of corners?
Yeah, definitely it's different, but it's fast and it's fun. This racetrack used to have a lot of bumps, and now it's brand new, and we still have a few bumps here and there. And there are a few bumps passing the start-finish line, and there is one bump passing center of the 1 and 2. So there are some characters still on this racetrack, and I think as we run, we are going to start moving around more. Like I said, right now I feel like it's just one group racetrack, but once we get into a race, we are going to see a couple groups out there. So I think it's going to be interesting, but the most important thing is that it's fun and it's super fast. So I think we're going to have some fun here tonight in the trucks and tomorrow night in the Xfinity.
Daniel, before we let you go, if you wouldn't mind, please, and for all of our Hispanic media and Hispanic fan base that you have, if you wouldn't mind just talking about, we're at the midpoint of the season, talk about the excitement that you sense now amongst NASCAR, the fans, and, just the quality of racing that we've seen so far this season.
Pues bueno, muchas gracias primero que nada a todos por el gran apoyo en esta primera mitad del 2016. Creo que ha sido un año muy positivo, de muchos mucho aprendizaje, de mucha adaptación, encontrando esa buena química con todo mi equipo. En verdad que estoy emocionado y contento por lo que se espera para nosotros para la segunda mitad. Esperemos que sea aún mejor, que vengan más victorias y por qué no pensar en un campeonato. Creo que todo el equipo está haciendo muy buen trabajo. NASCAR definitivamente está poniendo unos eventos muy, muy interesantes y unas carreras muy interesantes y bueno, para mí es un gran orgullo ser parte de esta familia, de Jockey Racing, ARRIS, Toyota, Juniper y a toda la gente por el gran apoyo. Gracias a todos ustedes por el gran seguimiento, fin de semana con fin de semana, y les agradezco mucho todo su apoyo.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.